Yes, this is Baek. That voice. Her husband's voice. The sound sent a shiver down her spine. Who are you? Sion demanded, his patience waning. Identify yourself. The kidnapper's frustration boiled over. Before she could scream, something moved in the shadows. From the trunk, a figure emerged, crawling into the back seat. The kidnapper's frustration boiled over. I kidnapped her. Your wife. I'll kill her. Sion's response was chillingly indifferent. What kind of nonsense? I don't engage in phishing calls. The kidnapper spat on the floor and slammed his head against the glove compartment in frustration. My K-Insider fam, that was just a glimpse of what's ahead. Let's dive into the novel without wasting any time. When the phone rings, Chapter 3. Heejoo was shocked. Did my car get hacked? If someone hacked the controllers inside a car, they could manipulate everything. The ignition, locks, black box, travel route, radio, air conditioner, engine, and brakes. Heejoo gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white, as the thought gnawed at her. Did someone hack my car? Her pulse quickened. If so, who would do such a thing? Who ordered it? Her in-laws were famous, their influence sprawling. And naturally, they had enemies, political rivals who had clashed with her father-in-law or groups holding grudges against the Sangyang Daily. A swirl of faces and possibilities clouded her mind. But amid it all, one question loomed. Why me? Out of everyone, why target me? Her lips tightened, but soon slackened in despair. Am I just a pawn in someone's game? Suddenly, her thoughts were interrupted as white headlights pierced through the darkness ahead. They were blinding, sharp like knives cutting through her vision. She squinted, instinctively raising a hand to shield her eyes. Something was hurtling toward her. Ouch! Her foot slammed the gas pedal, but the car didn't budge. Panic surged as her brain registered the sound of a roaring engine. It was a massive dump truck, barreling down the slippery road at full speed. Don't come, please. Her voice cracked, echoing in the confined space of the car. It sounded alien, unfamiliar. Desperation clawed at her as she pounded the steering wheel, blaring the horn repeatedly. Yet, the truck showed no sign of stopping. The headlights grew closer, brighter, and with them came an overwhelming sense of dread. Her heart thundered, and the smell of sweat and fear filled the car. Is this how it ends? The dump truck swerved at the last moment, narrowly missing her car. The side mirror shattered as the truck scraped past, its force caving in the door. Heejoo's breath hitched. Her entire body froze, paralyzed with fear. Her face had turned ghostly pale, her fingers trembling uncontrollably as she clung to the steering wheel. Am I alive? Did I just die and come back? The adrenaline was fading, leaving her body aching and drenched in sweat. Her clothes clung to her skin, damp and uncomfortable. She slumped forward, gasping for air. Her vision blurred, hands shaking too violently to even grip the wheel. Can I even make it home safely? But then, a strange sensation crept over her, prickling the back of her neck. Her instincts screamed. Slowly, cautiously, she glanced at the rearview mirror. Her heart dropped. In the mirror, she saw a man, a stranger, his unkempt appearance illuminated faintly by the dashboard lights. He was staring at her. Ah! Before she could scream, something moved in the shadows. From the trunk, a figure emerged, crawling into the back seat. Her body stiffened, paralyzed with fear, as the man lunged forward. In an instant, his hand clamped over her mouth, and his arm locked around her head, pinning it to the seat. The air filled with a pungent, sour smell. Ouch, no! Surprised, sis, the man sneered, his voice laced with mockery. Heejoo's body trembled violently as she struggled to speak. Who, ouch? Her muffled words went unanswered. The man's face twisted into a sinister grin as he leaned closer, his breath reeking of paint thinner. Right. It should be Baek. Baek, he declared, his tone unnervingly casual. Let's call him. I know his number. I know Baek's number. He shifted in his seat, his bushy curls bouncing as he reset the car's navigation system. The screen blinked to life, displaying a new destination. "Sis, you drive," he ordered, his tone commanding. Heeju's mind raced as she stared at the glowing screen, her pulse hammering in her ears. "And I'll make the call." Her car, once her haven, had become her prison. The man's grip tightened, and her breathing grew shallow. The destination on the navigation screen burned into her vision as the car lurched forward into the night. My K Insider fam, please subscribe to our channel. Let's continue. When the phone rings, Chapter 4. Desperation. Heeju clenched the steering wheel, her hands trembling. The kidnapper's breath was hot and nauseating against her ear. "Do as I say. Don't stop until we reach the destination," he growled, his voice steady but laced with malice. Her heart raced, but she complied, guiding the car along the desolate road. Every movement felt mechanical, her mind unable to focus on anything except the knife gleaming in her peripheral vision. Beep beep. The sound of the phone dialing drew her attention, though she dared not look away from the road. The kidnapper placed the phone on speaker, his hands trembling like a man on the brink of collapse. Beep beep. The tone dragged on, and Heeju could feel his breathing grow heavier with each passing second. Yes, this is Baek Sion." That voice. Her husband's voice. The sound sent a shiver down her spine. Despite their strained relationship, hearing him now stirred something deep within her, a faint glimmer of hope amidst the nightmare. A muffled sob escaped her lips, but the kidnapper clamped his hand harder over her mouth. "If you don't speak, I'll hang up," Sion said, irritation evident in his tone. The kidnapper's lips curled into a snarl. Baek Sion? I mean... This isn't a Korean number," Sion interrupted, his voice firm and suspicious. Hey, listen. "Who are you?" Sion demanded, his patience waning. "Identify yourself." The kidnapper's frustration boiled over. "I kidnapped her. Your wife. I'll kill her." Silence. On the other end, Sion's response was chillingly indifferent. "What kind of nonsense?" His words trailed off, followed by a soft chuckle. "I don't engage in phishing calls." The line went dead. The kidnapper spat on the floor and slammed his head against the glove compartment in frustration. Heeju flinched, her back drenched in cold sweat. "Sis," he growled through gritted teeth, "if Baek Sion ignores me again, I swear I'll kill you." Heeju swallowed her sobs, her mind racing. "Do you know where we're going?" the man asked suddenly, his tone unnervingly calm. No," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Look at the map." She glanced at the navigation screen. The destination was a lake. "You're going to end up in the water," he said with a sinister chuckle. "Baek Sion better show some curiosity if you want to survive." Her chest tightened. "I'm really screwed." Suspicion. Meanwhile, Baek Sion sat in his office, his phone in hand. The caller's words gnawed at him despite his earlier dismissal. "Sir, is something wrong?" his aide asked cautiously. Sion ignored him, dialing another number instead. "Yes, sir," came the voice of his household manager. "What is Hong Heeju's schedule for today?" Sion asked brusquely. "She had an appointment with your mother, sir. At Chairman Hong's house." He ended the call, but the unease lingered. His fingers tapped rhythmically on the desk as he dialed again. "Mother, what time did Heeju leave Chairman Hong's house today?" "She's probably still at home," his mother replied confidently. "Good night." Sion's jaw tightened. His wife's whereabouts had never been publicly disclosed. How could anyone know where she was? "It's probably a typical phishing scam," he muttered. "Sir?" His aide looked startled. Sion recited the phone number from memory. "Trace it. Now." Beep beep. The phone rang endlessly. "Answer it." "Answer it," the kidnapper hissed, his frustration mounting. Heeju's grip on the steering wheel tightened as his erratic behavior escalated. He began kicking her seat violently, sending shockwaves through her body. "Ugh," she gasped, struggling to stay steady. Her mind raced. Should I scream? If Sion answered, would he even recognize her voice? The kidnapper suddenly lunged into the passenger seat, his eyes wild. From beneath the seat, he pulled out a knife, its blade gleaming in the dim light. He jabbed the knife into the headrest beside her, tearing through the leather with each furious strike. Answer, 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 he screamed, his voice cracking. The blade came dangerously close to her ear, and she froze, her breath shallow and trembling. Then, just as abruptly, he stopped. His face contorted into a twisted smile. Sis, I made a mistake, he muttered. I forgot to modulate my voice. He fiddled with the phone, his demeanor shifting to one of eerie calmness. This phone can't be traced, he said proudly. I modified it myself. It's a burner. No SIM card, no signals. It calls directly to Baek Sion. Heeju's heart sank as she realized the extent of his planning. Let's see how much your husband cares, sis, he said with a chilling grin, holding the knife steady as the car hurtled toward the unknown. It took a lot of effort to bring this content. Please subscribe to Miss K Insider, my K Insider fam. Stay tuned for next episode.